Joining us this morning is the Executive Director of the Titusville Alumni Association. It's Tambra Warner Sabatini. Good morning, Tambra. Good to see you this morning.
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
You have been a very busy person.
It's a very busy year.
It has been. So, listen, you have done something remarkable, and this is just the first of a couple coming out.
This is the first book of 3 in the series.
Wow. The Alumni News. This is 1996 to 2006. The best of Titusville Alumni Association. This is fantastic. But before we get to all that, let's talk about what you've been working on outside of this. You started when?
Pretty much the last week of January.
Okay.
I crossed over with Ron. We came into the studio here about that time, had a quick conversation about where we were going with everything over the upcoming months as far as what I saw. And I kind of came in with the idea about the book right up front. I mean, that was part of my interview process. I'm like, and it was kind of one of those things. I have some really great ideas, but you don't really understand what I'm going to tell you yet till you actually see it. So,
which, by the way, happens to a lot of folks in Northwest Pennsylvania. We're more of we need to see it before we understand it type thing. Yeah,
exactly.
So, how big of a challenge was that for you to say this is a goal I have? Because it would have been easy to say, this is what I want to do, and then it take, years and years for it to happen.
Oh, no, I don't do that.
Okay.
No, yeah. I'm a person who goes after something and accomplishes it.
Excellent.
We don't waste time.
Well, that's great. Yeah. And I don't mean this in a negative way, but were people surprised when it happened then? So quickly?
I think so, but they don't realize I've been doing publishing since 2007. So, in fact, actually, I was just telling you, last night at 11 o'clock, I have a book author client in Erie who has a fabulous book we've been grinding on for a couple years with her, and she hit publish on it last night at 11 o'clock.
Oh, wow.
And she was so excited, and I have some other ones in the works here. So I've been doing this since 2007. The process of it is easy for me. So it's just a skill set I have. Everybody's like, wow. I'm like, no, you don't understand. It's just a process for me. It's a skill set.
That's great.
Yeah, and the information was all there. We just had to curate it, pull it out, find which pieces we wanted to include, find out, and then in this case, I did a lot of extra digging because I thought, well, I have extra pictures, I have extra information, so it was really fun to pad it out in a much better way. So that was the fun part for me, taking it and expanding it.
Well, I want to get into that process, but still,
Sure.
Before we get to that, I want to ask you just the day-to-day things when you're not working on this. What's going on at the Alumni Association?
Oh my goodness, it's been an incredible year on so many aspects. I tell people every day it's a treasure hunt because it's just, I just love what is in that office. I love the people. I love finding one little stray photo, posting it up on Facebook, and somebody in California says, that was my grandmother. I am so thankful that you found her in this.
Wow.
And I'm like, it just warms my heart. And then they tell me a story, and I'm like, this is what our heritage, this is what our community's about. And that's the biggest part of what we can draw together in the Alumni Association is holding that heritage, holding those values, holding those systems together, that sense of community in a world that's kind of frazzled on the edges right now. It's reminding us what built us. And that's really a big part, just to go to my philosophy side of things. But it's been a fun year. I mean, obviously, there's learning through the process in the first year. We went through the scholarship processes. We're actually right now in the process of announcing 3 new scholarships over the next week.
Wow.
Yeah, so we're pretty excited about that. And I applied for a grant, got a grant on archival materials that we needed. And so there's just a lot of overlapping layers. We're still continuing the twice-a-year newspaper, the Alumni News, obviously. We're finishing that one tomorrow. It's going out in the mail in January. So there's just a lot of pieces, and a lot of talking to people, a lot of sharing their stories and saying, hey, I found this in my attic. Can I bring it in? I'm like, sure. Let's see what you got. And that's the fun part because we want to protect those memories. We want to protect those stories of how we all got here.
Now, are you surprised when you get a phone call and it's somebody from, some state and you just go, well, I didn't realize that, or is it really not anymore?
Oh, all the time.
Okay.
No, all the time. And I always say, I said, we have this unique heritage, and I know it's all of Northwest PA, but it really seems centered in Titusville, which I think comes into the whole, obviously we always go back to oil, but it's like when you think about the people who came here in the 1800s and brought, they may not have been highly educated at the time or whatever, or they may have been, but they had an ingenuity. They had this genetic mentality and wiring towards problem solving, towards creating out of nothing. You know, when you look at our alumni and you see where that heritage, those families have branched out, and the number of highly successful business people of all shapes and sorts and educate, like, it just blows your mind. And the more I learn, the more mind blown I get. It's just an amazing set of stories that all weave in together over the last 150, 200 plus years. You know, they've been here.
What's incredible is when they don't think that they're worthy enough to have a story told about them.
Right. Oh, I see that all the time.
Yeah.
That drives me nuts. I'm like,
why would anybody have an interest in that?
So we have the Facebook page that I started. I also started a LinkedIn page because I thought there's a lot of younger professional ones we're not hearing from yet. And they've been growing and building quietly over here on the sides, whether they're, you know, the rocket scientist over here, as in Sarah's, you know, her career through the science and rocket technologies and space technologies and everything. Or you have, you know, other individuals from other classes who have created entire TV networks and things. You know, it just goes on and on. Or they're just quietly building a construction company. You know, one of those gentlemen messaged me the other day, I'm about ready to retire, closing this out, let's have a conversation. I'm like, okay.
Wow.
Yeah, and they've just been grinding away, doing their life, enjoying their life, putting it together, building it piece by piece. And it's that resilience and grit that is such a core of our heritage. And that's what these people do. That's what our classmates have done. You know, and there's that creativity side that's just amazing that comes out of here. And they just go at it very humbly, just going at what they do.
It is, and you think you know everybody.
You think.
Like you think. I mean, the ones who are out there
Right.
doing big things,
You
right?
see some of those, yeah.
Yeah, you do. Some. But it's when you hear the stories of those that you haven't heard that
Right.
story yet, you go, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Why haven't I heard this story yet?
Exactly. And I'm trying to farm some of those stories for the upcoming issues. We have a few that I'm, you know, lining up for the next couple issues of the Alumni News as I'm starting to hear those pieces, because you're never going to hear them, you know, in a big worldwide way, but they're out making tremendous impacts. And those are great stories to me.
And I think for the most part, there's no detachment from the school. There's no like, okay, that's my past. You know, it seems like there's still that little bit of brown and gold in everybody.
Oh, there sure is.
and we see that when we cover sports and people are watching from all over the country or world. People will write in or, you know, comment where they're from. They're proud of it.
Very much.
And you think, why are you watching this football game or this volleyball match?
Right.
And they love it. It's like they get a little piece of home and they start sharing these stories. And it's like you love hearing those stories.
Oh, I do. Definitely. And it grounds them to who they really are, you know, and in such a busy world where there's so many distractions and there's just everything clamoring for your attention. It's like if you can kind of ground yourself and get focused back to your roots, even for a half hour now and then, it really resorts your mindset, I think. Just because it's simple, it's clear, it's real, you know, and it's just very grounding, I think, for people.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah, that nostalgic feel. But it's more than that. It really is just a center and getting focused on what really mattered to make you who you are.
Is that did that play a big role in your decision to approach this position when it became available? Was you have that creative touch, you have that storytelling capability of saying, okay, I can do something with this.
Exactly. And I was just kind of chomping at the bit. I'm like, because I knew they didn't really understand what all I was thinking could be done. And that was like, oh, I don't want to overwhelm you, but you have so much here. We have so much here as alumni and in our community to share and to just reconnect and to keep that rolling and growing and building and everything. I'm like, oh, just let me loose.
So when you went in for the job interview, did you overwhelm them, or did you
I
only
may
give
have.
them like 60% of the ideas?
Probably 75%.
75, okay.
Yeah, maybe closer to 80.
All right. Well, that's good.
There's still a little bit that's kind of in the wings here still.
Yeah. And has that changed just being there almost a year now with kind of figuring things out, or do you take maybe those ideas you have and what you've learned this year and go, okay, hey, I can tweak this and
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
You always have to be fluid with everything because there's just pieces you don't know when you go into something. Like, I actually did not understand how much was going to be at my fingertips to do something with, and that was amazing. But then it's not even just the stuff, the heritage side of it, the records, the pictures, the photos, the files, the memorabilia. I could just go into one story after another already of what I found, but it's like knowing the people. So on the board, for example, the board is tremendously amazing in the sense that they have the institutional knowledge, they have the networking knowledge, they have the family details. And actually that ties into something I just started in September, which is a new alumni management system. So we've been doing everything like on Excel spreadsheets, which is very limited as to what you can actually do with it. So we were able to, with the school district's help, bring in what's a donor management system. And in that system, I can actually know who's in the same household, whether their kids have moved out, where to put them, how to streamline it, who's connected to who and where they are, and actually create a bigger picture of who we are.
Oh, wow.
And that's been incredibly valuable. We had over 11,000 names that has been, I spent all of September I went through line by line by line by line in September. It was a long month of spreadsheets. But now the picture is really emerging, and I'm eager to I'm putting together the annual report right now because there's such a picture that we can see now of who we are, what we have, and where we are, and how we're doing these things. And, combined with the social media interactions on Facebook and LinkedIn, the picture's really emerging of who our community is, and it's pretty fabulous. Like, we have some of the biggest hearts you will ever meet, some of the most generous people you'll ever know, some of the most humble, hardworking. I can't even begin to describe it. It's just really... It's beyond heartwarming. It's the most encouraging thing I think I've ever done.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
it's pretty amazing.
Awesome. Yeah. Let's do this real quick. You're watching the Morning Drill on Stream Television and on Armstrong's Neighborhood Channel. Tambra Warner Sabatini with us here this morning, Executive Director, Titusville Alumni Association. Let's get to the book.
Oh, yeah.
This is fantastic. I don't know about you, but when I'm working on a project or something, my mind is just, it's like, okay, everything's scattered and trying to figure out how to get everything pieced together. What was the process like for you? You said you're good at this part of it.
Right.
But where do you start? How did you start? And did you try to come up with some sort of a theme of common stories, or was it?
Kind of.
Okay.
Kind of. Initially, my whole thought was, when I came in, my whole thought was, okay, we have all these alumni newsletters. I'll do a book. I really hadn't thought 3 at the time. So that's an idea of what has evolved in it. And then I realized we're quickly approaching 30 years of it, because we're going into issue 56 as of tomorrow, where we're going to push the button and get that printed and everything. So I'm like, 2020, okay. By the time I finish 1 and 2, we'll have 3 ready. We'll have 30 years of this.
Wow.
So initially I was kind of jumping around all the old issues, pulling this and pulling that, going, that's cool, that's cool. And then all of a sudden I thought, oh, we've got 30 years. We've got 3 decades. Let's get in there and there was so much. Like, you cannot believe how much is still left out of this book, and it's 200 pages, packed. So I had to do some picking and choosing of, like, the best stories. And there are definitely pieces that were left out that I kind of, like, almost cried to leave out. But weighing it,
That's another book, though, right? It could be.
It could be the 4th book, all the stuff that didn't make it in the first 3. Yeah, I mean, that's what, it's kind of a not, the source is there forever. But I really didn't want to lose these articles, these bits and pieces that are in here. They were going to sit they were out once and then done. And sometimes they would resurrect a few articles for another issue and bring them back. But I thought, and somebody actually came to me last night. We had the Christmas tea for the retirees at the school. And one of the women came up to me and she goes, I didn't know my son got that award. I'm like, what? She goes, he's in your book. He told
Wow.
me he was in there. He goes, Mom, did you know that? She goes, I didn't know that.
Wow.
So she found it in the book, or he found it, and there's somebody said. So I thought, well, that's pretty cool because, at the time they may be, in some of these, they're just so-and-so student was at such and such college, and they were recognized for this sport event or this or that. And I'm like, but in all of our lives, those little pieces come and go, and nobody else ever remembers them. And it's important to, I feel very strongly about that. And, so we brought a lot of those pieces in. So we have like the spring sports bits. Monica Copley, 96, a member of the TL 2000 cross country team. Chad Brown, 97, TJ Wiley, 98, are tight end and quarterback, respectively, for the TL Bobcat football team. It just goes on and on. There's those pieces, there's stories, there's histories. We have the Alumni Wall of Fame. We tell you what angle ball is. We tell you about the hunter
That's
of
been a
the
big topic
year.
this year.
Angle ball?
Angle ball, yeah.
It's kind of fun. I'm like, who thought this up? Okay, so we have, and that article, I think it's from the 1966 yearbook. And then it was printed. It was originally printed in the 66 yearbook, and then it was in, the Alumni News. And then we also have, I put in all up to, so we have more people on the Wall of Fame, Alumni Wall of Fame now, but I put only the ones who were in these issues. So anybody who's after that's going to have to be in another issue. But, there was some in here, like Francis Thompson, who blew my mind. I did not really know anything about Francis Thompson. And the reason he blows my mind is he was a filmmaker who, his father and grandfather started Thompson Drug Store. And his father gave him a Kodak camera, Kodak Cinema, whatever it is. And so he started playing around with it. Francis Thompson, so when I went in the 70s and 80s and 90s to the Air and Space Museum in D.C.,
Which is phenomenal.
his movie was the one we all saw in the IMAX theater.
No way.
Yes. And before that, he did in the 1964 World Fair for the Johnson Wax thing. He was one of the fathers and creators of basically the IMAX philosophy of movies. And he was doing multiple screen displays with this one movie, what is it? To Be Alive, I think it's called. I have so many things in my head there. Another one, To Fly. I mean, he had these great movies. He did a Washington, D.C. documentary there that was really amazing. And I actually did some real deep research. I messaged a few people who referenced one of them, and I said, I need a link to this video because I can't find it. And they gave me a link, and I found it. And so I think I've watched most of his movies now online.
Wow.
So it's kind of fun. I'm like, this guy did some amazing early work in some of the cutting-edge technology with multi-screen theaters in movie production. I didn't know that. I'd never heard that in my life. Just that he was, a filmmaker.
Yeah.
But it goes so
that's
much deeper than that.
Yes. But I find that with a lot of folks.
I
I do this.
Right.
Okay, but tell me more
It's
about
this
that.
humble statement.
Yes, yes. Yeah, like Dan Beck, I work in the music industry.
Right. I've had a lot of conversations with Dan.
Yes.
And then you're like, oh, so you named Michael Jackson's History album.
Yes.
And you have the little liner note that says, thank you, Dan Beck, basically.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm like-
or how about the time he was with Aerosmith when their plane was
Yeah.
stopped to check
Oh, his
for
stories are
Oh
amazing.
my gosh.
Yeah.
Yes.
People have no idea.
Yeah. I went to Nashville.
Yeah, exactly.
Tell me more.
Hung out with Cyndi Lauper.
Yes. Incredible.
Yeah, we have story after story after story.
So this is volume 1.
Volume 1.
Okay, so
I'm starting 2 in January. There's not a break.
that is incredible. So here's the book.
Yeah.
Now the question is, where can folks find it? How much is it?
It's $20. You can get it directly off Amazon.com, and I did it through their publishing arrangement, which is called Kindle Direct Publishing. It's not a Kindle book. It wouldn't translate really well to Kindle. It's more of a pick up and browse through it kind of book. So I don't have it on Kindle, but it's their publishing company. So it's on Amazon.com. I have the links on Facebook, and I have the links on LinkedIn as well. Or you can always message me, or just search Amazon for it. I have it under my name. I curated it. That's all I did. I just put it together based on what everybody else has written. I also have a lot in the office, and I'll try to keep a big stack on hand there, so you can make arrangements to meet me. I said I've been meeting people out the back door because it's easier than them parking and going to do it. So we're doing these little cash deals on the parking lot. I'm like, it looks kind of funny, but hey, it works. Make life easy for everybody. So
What a great Christmas gift.
it's been amazing. I've had people buy 6 and 10 copies to give out as gifts. So and the funding for it goes to, if you buy it through Amazon, it goes directly into our alumni bank account. If you buy it from me, it goes into our alumni bank account. What it is doing is funding the heritage side of our projects. That's the goal with this, of where we want to take it, because just like I said, we have so many amazing pieces of memorabilia, records, etc. We need to do something with that. The goal, long-term goal, is to digitize everything, create online exhibits, maybe even, hopefully, at some point, create a physical space where we have an exhibit display. And
That's
can change
incredible.
it out. So I want it to be searchable online eventually. Our records and everything. So it's a big goal, but we'll get there.
Well, congratulations.
Thank
This
you.
is just phenomenal.
Thank
and
you.
again, perfect for this time of year.
That was the goal.
Yeah, well, it's perfect for any time of year,
Right.
but
Yeah.
it makes a great gift idea. So,
Excellent.
Tambra, good to see you. Thanks
Hey,
for
thanks.
all you do and
Thanks for having me in.
keeping those conversations going about our history.
Oh, anytime. Thank you.
Thank you.